So with that said, we're going to start with our first segment of the training, really to give folks an idea or a thought about why should we evaluate teachers in the first place? What should our evaluation be based on in the first place? Okay, why is it that teachers matter in the first place? And I don't think that you would find any teacher who says that what I do in the classroom doesn't matter. If you do, we need to sit down and have a conversation with that particular teacher, right? In fact, as was shared earlier, I'm at Old Dominion University, and I was at the College of William & Mary for several years in a visiting position, which if you don't know what that means, it means a non-tenure line position, but I was visiting for 5 years. I'm like the cousin that won't go home, right? You know, so anyway, during that time, I, wanted a permanent home and so found one across the water, if you know anything about our area of the country, in Virginia, just across the water in Norfolk, Virginia, in a tenure line position. When I was being interviewed, someone said, oh, well, what do you think about, can teachers really make a difference? What about, the socioeconomic background? What about all the things that teachers, have happen or kids have happen in their lives? And, do teachers really make a difference? And I thought that was interesting coming from someone who works in the teaching and learning department. And I said, well, if I say that teachers do not make a difference, then I just need to get another profession. I need to go do something else. Because how can I stand up in front of 20-year-olds and say, we're going to teach you all great strategies to use in the classroom. We're going to teach you how to use formative assessment. We're going to teach you all these great things, but, it's not going to make a difference. How can we do that? If we really believe that teachers do make a difference, then that's what we do indeed believe. And so that's the point of this particular aspect of the training is how do teachers make a difference and what is their impact? As Jenny shared, we are in the first tab for day 1. So I'm coming out into trainer mode, and we're on page 3 of our title slide on qualities of effective teachers. What makes good teachers? Okay, so here are some of our opening questions, and we're now on the next page, on page 4, and there are 2 basic questions that we're going to talk about this morning together as we proceed along. And the first main question is, why do we need good teachers? Why do we need good teachers? What's the research behind that about the impact that a teacher makes in the life of a child? And we're going to talk about that for a little bit this morning. And the second question is, well, how do you know a good teacher when you see one? Okay? Now, as Patrice shared in my introduction, that we, several of us have been engaged in a study in which we're taking a look at what is it that great teachers do. And these are great teachers who have won national awards for their teaching. And in fact, I will be leaving Saturday for China to go and observe teachers there who have won national awards for their teaching. Now, I've also observed teachers here in the United States. And when you go in and you observe these teachers, you just know it, right? You could walk in without any of the performance standards, even though they're important, and you have this feeling that what's going on in that classroom is magic, right? There's a feeling, a vibe in that classroom. And it's not just that we all love each other and care for one another. That's important, isn't it? But if loving and caring comes along and student academic progress doesn't, then that's no good, right? Teachers need to care about kids, but we also need to care enough that we're going to help them to progress along, okay? All right, so these are 2 questions that we're going to talk about this morning. And again, make notes. This is what you'll be presenting to others, and we're going to be taking a look at some research studies as well. So question 1, why do we need good teachers? Why is it that we need them? And I'd like for you, for just a moment, we're on our next page there, to take a look at some information regarding, and by the way, you have the answers. Okay? So please play along as if you don't have the answers. You can not look ahead, don't tempt yourself, you know, kind of try to get a surprise here. Typically we leave these out because we like surprises in our presentations, but you have the answers in front of you because you will be presenting this information. But this was a study out of Tennessee, and as you all know, Tennessee has had their value-added assessment system for many, many years. Are you all aware of that, the value-added assessment system in Tennessee, which gave a lot of great data, long-term data, about how students perform. Okay, and then we can predict where they should perform based on how they have performed. And this particular study looked at several factors related to student achievement to see which one of these factors has the greatest effect or the largest effect on student achievement. And they use something called an effect size. For those of you who might have some background in statistics in here, I won't go into it in depth, but it just means an effect on student achievement. Can we actually kind of shift the mean of the group over, right? Can we shift where the average or the mean of the group would be over? Can we make an impact on student learning? Okay, that's an effect size. And so they did these studies and looked at that. And we have 4 items that they're looking at. Number 1, mixed ability grouping. Okay, what is the effect of mixed ability grouping on student achievement? The second one they looked at is class size. What is the effect of class size on student achievement? A third one they looked at is prior achievement. What's the effect of how I performed in 3rd grade? You know, how much does that play into how I'm going to perform in 4th grade in reading and math, right? That's prior achievement. And then finally, they looked at the teacher. Now again, you have the answers, but play along. If you were to rank order these, and think about your thoughts kind of before you saw the answers. If you've seen them already, it's hard to erase that out of your mind, I know. But think about how you would rank order these, greatest being 1 to 4 being the least, okay, as far as the effect on student achievement. So I'd like for you to rank order, just go ahead and do that on your paper, rank order them. And then I'd like for you just a moment to talk about your rank ordering at your table. Now, we're going to need a little, some norms and expectations, what we call routines and procedures. You know what I'm talking about, folks, routines and procedures? I teach a classroom management course right now, so we're all about routines and procedures, right? We've got to have smooth transitions, maximize instructional time, right? So, when you're working in groups, what I'm going to ask you to do is when we're ready to come back together, I'm going to raise my hand. Okay, when you see me raise my hand, if you would raise your hand as well, and then we'll all come back together. Now, when I was teaching middle school, I used to use this technique, and I would tell my students, I'd say, now when you raise your hand, that means that you need to stop talking, right? Because my middle school students, they'd raise their hand, they'd just keep carrying on, you know, so they'd just keep talking. Now, if I was in an elementary group, how would we bring everybody back together? The clapping thing. Do you know the clapping thing? See, the high school people and people who have it, they're like, oh my gosh, the clapping thing. Please don't do the clapping thing. When I'm in, you know, with middle and high school teachers, they'll tar and feather you, you know, you do the clapping thing, you know. So anyway, you just got to yell over them and say, everybody come back together. But we're going to use where I'll raise my hand, and if you'd come back together and raise your hand when you see me raise my hand. Is that good enough? Everybody clear? All right, so what I'd like for you to do, rank order the 4 items. Number 1 is the largest effect, 4 is the least of those 4. And then talk at your table about your ranking and why you ranked them in the order that you did. All right?
We do that to kids.
Thank you, Alan. I remember that name. It's my husband's name. All right. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back. All right. So